Hey guys, Mike here, the Detroit Borg, with a preview of what might be the next generation iPhone. Now, as many of you are aware by now, mock-ups based on leaked blueprints have begun circulating the internet. Case manufacturers are using these to develop their accessories ahead of the next iPhone's launch. These by no means confirm the design or materials used in the final product, but should give us a good idea of the rough dimensions of the next iPhone. Now, the biggest and most obvious change here is the larger display, which is rumored to jump from 4 inches to 4.7 inches. It's believed this larger display will have a resolution of 1704 by 960 to retain a 326 ppi pixel density. This is only the second time in the iPhone's history that the screen has increased in size, and this is by far the biggest jump yet. Now, the larger screen has necessitated some changes, including a thinner design with rounded edges, which makes it a much more comfortable device to handle at this size. Now, around the back of the phone, you'll find those distinctive stripes, which are believed to be part of the antenna system. Now, it appears this new design will give up glass trim pieces for a mostly metal unibody design. Now, like the current iPhone, it's assumed that these trim pieces will be color matched to the bezel color of the screen, so white with white and black with black. Now, the mock-ups also depict a camera module which protrudes like an iPod Touch, with a single LED flash which may or may not include a dual-color LED like the current True Tone flash in the 5S. Now, on the left-hand side of the iPhone, we'll find our redesigned volume controls, which are very similar to the latest iPod Touch and the iPads, with the standard mute switch just above them. On the top, we'll find that we're missing the sleep-wake button, which has now been moved to the right-hand side of the phone, just above the SIM tray. This is a design familiar to many larger phones like the Galaxy series, where the top of the phone is just too far to reach comfortably without shifting your grip. On the bottom, we'll find a design that more closely resembles the iPod Touch than the iPhone 5S. We have our speaker to the right, a lightning connector in the middle, and a single port for the microphone next to the headphone jack. Now, beside the lightning connectors are two screw-hole ports. Now, at the top of the phone, we'll find an earpiece and front-facing camera, along with an ambient light sensor and proximity sensor. There's also believed to be a new sensor or LED light, which is not depicted in this mock-up. The home button also retains the Touch ID feature and appears to be about the same size. Now, the 4.7-inch screen size is still on the small side, especially if you compare it to the other popular flagship phones, such as the 5.2-inch Sony Z2, the 5.1-inch Galaxy S5, and the 5-inch HTC One M8, which are also supporting higher resolution 1080p displays than the rumored iPhone's 4.7-inch display. Now, compared to these other phones, the iPhone 6 mock-up is more compact and thinner, but one only needs to look at the Moto X, which also has a 4.7-inch display, to see that the iPhone is still fairly tall for its screen size. The iPhone 6 is still by far the thinnest phone here, even thinner than the Xperia Z2 and much thinner than the relatively chunky HTC One M8 and the GS5, while still retaining its narrow design, which bests most of the phones here. Now, while it's very similar in design, it's not as thin as the iPod Touch, but it's pretty close, so it kind of fulfills the fantasy that many of us had of having an iPhone as thin as the iPod Touch. Now, personally, I find that the phone is still comfortable to handle one-handed thanks to its thin design with those rounded edges, so I'm pretty excited to finally get my hands on an iPhone that's relatively close to the size of larger smartphones today. I'm a little disappointed that the screen resolution may not be as high as those other phones, and we still have a single speaker instead of a stereo speaker like we have on the HTC One M8. But I'm really looking forward to the size increase here. So what do you guys think of this design? Do you think it's fake? Do you think it's legitimate? If it is legitimate, what do you think? Is it too big, too small? Please let me know in the comment section below. So that's going to do for me in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one.